Good. Good morning. I'd like to call the Crow Wing County Board of Commissioners regular meeting together. Let's stand for a pledge and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Commissioner Coring,
Here.
Commissioner Lubke,
Here.
Commissioner Barrows,
Here.
Commissioner Franzine. Here. Commissioner Hoag.
Here.
Here. We will do open forum at this time. And we have Doug Kern.
Yeah, good morning. Doug Kern.
Good morning, Doug.
You betcha. My concern, again, is the voter ID thing. When we talk about our elections, and years ago, there was a big push with the Republican Party on voter ID. Well, that was the charge a few years ago. Now we have voter IDs for all, or not voter IDs, we have IDs for all. How can our elections be considered secure when we can't even acknowledge who is a citizen and who is not? The security level is like dropping out pretty fast. When there's a push for us being a sanctuary state, there's a big concern on where is that going and how secure are our elections. So just a concern about the elections. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you. Anybody else in the audience that didn't fill out a form that was willing or wanting to speak? Yes.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, good morning. Just a little bit of clarification and some facts with regard to the driver's license for all and automatic voter registration. I just want to clarify a couple of things. Number one, in the last legislative session, the legislature did enact driver's license for all. That allowed any person to receive a driver's license in the state of Minnesota if they meet the criteria for what that purpose is. Two things to keep in mind with this. It is not precedent setting that a driver's license becomes available to others. In the past in Minnesota, you did not have to be a citizen to have a driver's license. In fact, I remember when I was in high school, my parents had a foreign exchange student from Spain who stayed with us, who was so excited because he could go get a Minnesota driver's license. It was not a form of citizenship, and a driver's license itself is not a form of citizenship. The driver's licenses that are being available and made for the automatic voter registration process are only those who apply for a license that is a real ID or an enhanced ID, both of which are documents that do prove citizenship because they have to go through a more extensive process. Just a driver's license on its own is not sufficient for voter registration. A person who goes to register to vote also has to answer two questions right off the top of the bat. First question is, are you at least 18 years old? The second question is, are you a U.S. citizen? If they are not a U.S. citizen, whether they have a driver's license or not, they are not allowed to vote. So I just wanted to put a little bit of clarification to that statement.
Thank you, Deborah. I have another open forum here at Jason Bauer. Did I pronounce that right? Bar, okay.
Hi, thank you for letting me speak. I've been speaking to Paul Corning a little bit, and Tim Bracer. I'm a little bit of a short of breath. I ran up the stairs trying to make this meeting. But I own a bait shop in Garrison, Minnesota called Tuts Bait and Tackle, and I want to bring to the board the potential of a shutdown of 169 the week of Memorial Weekend or around that weekend. And just want to say how detrimental that would be to the business in Garrison, not just mine, but everybody. We've had a very tough winter, as you can imagine, with ice conditions and some other things. The DNR just came out with potential regs. They're not very positive for Mille Lacs Lake as a whole. So I'm really asking the board to look at this, at potential moving that. About 30% of our business comes from the week of opener through Memorial Weekend. It's terrible timing. So I don't know. My recommendation or ask is anytime from May until Labor Day is where we make all of our hay, literally. And if you look at the map, if you shoot people down Highway 2 and give them an option to stay on 2 all the way to State Highway 25 or shoot up Highway 8, they're not coming back to Garrison. There's no way. We also have a potential roundabout. Well, we have a roundabout coming in 2026. We're also looking at another shutdown. Garrison businesses have already been hammered by regulations of Mille Lacs Lake, and this would just add fuel to that fire. So, asking you to reconsider. Ice conditions, normal year we'd have 30 inches of ice right now. We have 8 to 12. I would imagine the ground is somewhat similar. Looks like we've got a really nice warm-up coming. It would be awesome if you guys could do it before opener even happened. I know there's road restrictions, but certainly if there's going to be a non-typical year, this would be it. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Tim, could I ask you to speak to that? Normally, we wouldn't do that on a 3-minute, but could you speak to that?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Coring.
I didn't, yes, Commissioner Coring, I can't see you up there.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I could speak at this. I
Yeah,
know
it's
we
in your
normally don't-
district.
I know, yes, it is in my district. So I have been in conversations with Jason. I've heard from the mayor of Garrison, who's quite concerned about the timing of this. Just to let you know that the county board did pass a detour agreement with the Department of Transportation at our February 13th meeting. In talking to Tim, and I'm going to ask Tim Bray to come up and kind of tag team this, but Tim has been in conversations with the DOT. The contract is not let for this project yet, but Tim and I are working hard to make sure this doesn't disrupt the hardworking people of Garrison. And Tuts Bait is kind of a staple of the community. He does a great job, and I thank Jason for rushing up here. I texted him a little while ago. He said he was on his way, so he literally ran there. But Tim Bray, if you could address a little bit of this, but I might be asking the county board to rescind our detour agreement, but not quite yet. So Tim.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Coring. Thank you for asking. I did know that Jason was coming. I do have a couple of graphics. And Commissioner Coring was correct. At the last board meeting, the county board passed, a resolution or support for the use of this detour. If you could zoom in a little bit. This is the project that MnDOT's proposing, and it requests a detour using our roadways. You don't really show them on there. But once, I don't know if it was because of the board meeting or something, but right after the meeting, MnDOT advertised or reiterated on social media that this detour was going to happen and this project was going to happen. And that's where Jason, one of the first times he heard about it, maybe the first time, I'll let him explain. And he raised his concern to me, and also then he reached out to Commissioner Coring, and then the mayor also did. And so you had already taken action to approve the detour that he is concerned about. Courtney, if you go to the next slide, here, I'm going to get the pointer. Sorry about that. Of course, here's Garrison. The project area is right in this area south of Garrison, and the proposal is to use Crow Wing County, CSAH 2 up to CSAH 8, and then on 26 back before you get to Garrison. But as Jason pointed out, is that 8 continues on up this way and hits State Highway 18, and his concern is that they're essentially bypassing Garrison, and what he says is some of his busiest weeks between fishing opener and Memorial Day. I've been talking with MnDOT about this detour for a couple months now, and as a matter of fact, their original proposal was to use it in April, which would have been great for this situation. But what they failed to realize is that that was when load restrictions are on. And so I could not recommend to you or them to allow trunk highway traffic to use our roads. Some of them are 9-ton and 7-ton, and we'd essentially be agreeing to the potential of destroying them. Of course, we always thought we were going to have a winter and load restrictions coming on at the normal times. So when I went back after agreed to do the detour at the board meeting, heard from Jason, heard from Commissioner Coring, I called back to MnDOT and said, hey, this is, even though the board took action, this has come up as a challenge for some of the business community in Garrison. Can we reconsider? Can we push it back to June 1st, like after this really critical 2-week period for the city of Garrison? And they are considering it, but they're kind of in this no man's land between identifying the contract. So they actually had the bid opening, but the state's process to award the contract is pretty long. And so they don't have an awarded bid or awarded contract with the contractor. So they're in this period where they really can't talk too much about it because other bidders bid on it with these very restrictive, these specific dates. So in the contract was written that the work must happen the week prior to Memorial Day. So starting May 20th through the 24th, the Friday right before Memorial Day weekend. So that's how the contract reads now. And that's how all the contractors bid it. So to talk about changing that before it's actually awarded to them, they're kind of in this weird spot. They're willing to continue those conversations with the contractors to see if it could work with their schedule. But they have not committed to that yet. So we are working on it, as Commissioner Coring said. But first of all, we have MnDOT to agree, and then we have the contractor to change their schedule and be able to do that. They may have had that same restriction for a subcontractor that has less flexibility too. So right now we have no solution for it, but we are working closely with our partners at MnDOT to just talk through it. And once the contract is awarded officially, they can maybe have some conversations with the contractor to move things around. So that's where it stands right now.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Karen.
Mr. Chair, Tim, can you also explain a concern that you and I have that, if we push a little too hard, they could possibly just go on a state highway road over to 25 and then they really wouldn't even need county consent for the detour. I mean, you and I did talk about that. Can you just explain that?
Courtney, can you bring up the larger map again? And so that, of course, the county roads, they talked about 2, 8, and 26. This little detour around, the construction's all right in here. They don't need the county to get this job done. They can detour on their own roads, and look how invasive this would be. If they're coming up 169, they could bring people over this way and detour around it too. And that would probably be much worse even. So we're trying to work with our partners and at MnDOT to make this work. We're asking, I think what I ultimately asked for was a 1-week delay into June after that Memorial Day weekend rather than the week leading up to it. But they could just use their own roadways to do it, which would be much more detrimental, I believe, to the businesses. So,
Commissioner Coring, Since this is in your district, can you take the lead on this, or what do you suggest to the board?
Well, Mr. Chair, I am taking the lead on this. I continue to be in conversations with Tim Bray and the mayor of Garrison and the business owners like Jason. And so all I'm doing is just informing the board now, just in case we might have to take some action to rescind our agreement that we did on February the 13th. It's more informational, Mr. Chair.
Would we know that time? I mean, if you're able to get that extra week or that delay to get it after Memorial Day, will we know that soon enough to do what, if we needed to rescind that?
I'm not sure of the timing of MnDOT's award to the contractor.
How long of a project is this looking to be?
Well, it's actually the whole project to do the mill and overlay and stuff like that they're doing, I think it's 7 miles, is gonna take into July. But the detour, they only need the detour for 5 days to do the pipes. And so they'll be able to handle traffic through there. We're talking about these 5 critical days to the business owners in Garrison. I want to point out also
Mr. Chair,
that
I would just say that I'll try to keep the board, well, I won't try, I will keep the board informed of this, and if we need to take any action, I certainly will be in contact with the chair, letting him know.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on the board have anything to add?
Not at this time.
Okay. Thank you. We'll go on to, anybody else here for open forum that we missed? I think we've got everybody. So we'll go on to review and approve of minutes.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? And we have a second. Roll call.
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine,
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows,
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag,
Aye.
and Commissioner Lupke.
Aye. Approved. Review and approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I have a couple of items to propose to add. One of them is for the Minnesota lawful gambling application. There's an exempt permit for the Lakes Area BMX to be held on April 5th at Dunmire's on the Lake in the FAD. And that came to us late. The event is going to be the same day as our next board meeting, and so they will not have time to get to the state to get their approvals if we don't add it to the agenda today. So I put that forward for your consideration. The second item is something we've been working on for quite some time, Cross Lake lease and shared services agreement. I think you've been briefed on that this has been a long process. We would like to get moving on adding the staff necessary to meet our obligations under the shared services agreement. So I would also put forward whether you would consider adding the Cross Lake lease and shared services agreement.
Where would you suggest we add that?
Where do I suggest? I think the exempt gambling permit is probably on the consent agenda, and I can cover the Cross Lake Shared Services Agreement under my time.
Oh, under yours? Okay.
Mr. Chair, with those changes, I would make the motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Go roll call.
Commissioner Franzine,
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows,
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag,
Aye.
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Commissioner Lupke.
Aye, carried. Now we're on to the consent agenda. Other than we did add the tax exempt to that 5.3 for the other exempt that we have.
Motion to approve with the addition.
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor signify by saying roll call.
Commissioner Barrows,
Roll call.
Commissioner, Commissioner Hoag,
Aye.
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine,
Aye.
Commissioner Lupke.
Aye, motion carried. On to land services. I think we have a Mr. Prince coming up here.
Good morning. I have a couple items for your consideration this morning. First item on the agenda, 6.1, is the final plat of Scott's Way for Rosalie and Raymond Judison. This is located in Section 17 of Mission Township. Parcel number in question is 77170552. The address there is 30549 East Horseshoe Lake Road in Merrifield. This is a required plat because there's a natural environment lake adjacent to the property. It's lake number 18-250. It's a natural environment lake. And here's the clicker here. So if you look at the natural environment lake, is right up in here. It's just a little lake. But what they needed to do as part of the preliminary plat was that they were approved for down here in this lot 1, they were approved for a minimum buildable area variance. The required is 40,000 square feet, and they were approved for 29,525 square feet. And that was approved by the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment at their meeting on November 16th. So as a reminder, this did come to the county board for preliminary plat approval on December 12th. And so this is just a two-lot plat, as you can see here, just this lot here and the second lot here. Based on the land use ordinance requirements, the finding of fact on file and land services, along with the complete record and application, staff recommends approval of the final plat of Scott's Way. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board? Entertain a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion by Hoag. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Francine. Roll call vote.
Commissioner Hoag,
Aye.
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine,
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows,
Aye.
Commissioner Lepke.
Aye. Motion carried.
The next item on the agenda that we have is a land use map amendment for Zachary Ostrowski. The request is to amend the land use map from rural residential 10 to rural residential 2.5 involving approximately 5 acres. This is located in Section 26 in Fairfield Township. The parcel number is 60220553. It does have an address of 21048 County Road 36, Crosby. What you can, it's the can you go to the, oh, it's right there. That's what I was looking for. So it's this parcel is what they're asking. It's a 5-acre parcel. The area that you see here in this blue is the shoreland. So the only part they'd be requesting to amend the land use map would be the brown area here. And just to give you a reminder of what the colors mean, the brown areas are rural residential 10. The bluish color here is the shoreland district. Up in the corner is the rural residential 2.5. This is the rural residential 20 here. This is 5 acres, RR5, and this right here is commercial 2. And so all they're asking to do is to be able to turn this into 2.5 acre, and then I think the goal is just to create 2 lots out of that. So the Planning Commission met on February 15th and made a unanimous recommendation to the County Board to approve the land use map amendment as submitted. Based on the land use ordinance requirements, the finding of fact on file and land services, along with the complete record and application, staff recommend approval as well. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
No questions. I would move approval of the rezoning.
Motion by Hoag.
Second.
Second by Barrows. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine,
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows,
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag,
Aye.
Commissioner Lepke.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think next on the agenda is the county sheriff with the Cuyuna Lakes Bike Rescue.
Morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Captain Adam Krantz with the Sheriff's Office. Today, we have resolution that we're hoping to get approval from you for, essentially to recognize a new first responder group in the Cuyuna Lakes Recreation Area. Basically, Mr. Dwyer here, I'm going to turn it over to him for any questions that you may have. He's the brains behind this, and it's basically a group of active riders who hopefully can fill in a gap. And that gap being, we have active first responders out there already with the fire departments, and they respond to bike crashes, medical emergencies, injuries out there on the trails. However, some of those trails are very difficult to get to, and the quickness and the knowledge of where those access points lies in active riders, such as Daryl here. So with this, we are essentially asking the Minnesota EMSRB to recognize the group as a active responding group, and we need board approval. So any questions, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Dwyer.
Good morning.
Good morning. I really don't know what questions ask. Would you know what questions ask? Commissioner Barrows.
Could you give me your name, please?
Daryl Dwyer.
Mr. Chair, if I may, we know that there are mountain bike trails in Crow Wing County, and they are a unique opportunity and a unique hazard. And so when we have EMS issues that occur on those trails, it is difficult for us to respond to them because it's not on a road, it's not at a house, it's not on the end of someone's driveway, it's down a mountain bike trail. And so getting there requires some specialized skills and some specialized talent. This is now a known hazard in our community. And so this is a group of people that have stepped forward with some unique skills that are offering to supply some EMS services to an area of the county that has been difficult for us to serve. I would note that the local fire departments and local EMS have endorsed having you officially designating this team as covering this area. That's representatives from CRMC Ambulance Service. So that is who typically responds, CRMC Ambulance Service. They're suggesting they could use some help. I think that's what you have in front of you, a volunteer group offering to help.
Just one question, Daryl. Are you going to be equipped then, or are you going to have the equipment like a first responder would have, or do you have the ability to have that?
It'll be a little bit different than a regular first responder group. We will have our team members trained with first aid. Some of them will be first responders. Myself as a paramedic and a nurse, and firefighter. But the gap that we're missing is we've got the ambulance over in Crosby, we've got multiple fire departments that respond. They're all well-trained, well-equipped to take care of these people and to extract them. But our gap is location and the quickest extrication time. So having this group of people that are familiar with the trails and are out there biking, know the ins and outs of the easiest way in and out is what's going to be the key piece that this group is going to provide. So they're going to respond to the calls out there, potentially be able to haul equipment back and forth more quickly than people on foot, and be able to show the easiest way in and out for extrication of the patient.
So if a call would come in, a 911 call come in from a cell call to our dispatcher, then they would call the ambulance service. Then would the ambulance service then know a list of you folks that are readily available, or how would that process work?
It would be through active 911. So there's the system that goes to the cell phones that this group would then have their own active 911 trigger.
Mr. Chair, essentially, it all lies within dispatch. So they'll get the 911 call, send out ambulance, but it'll just be mouse clicks to page out the appropriate first responder groups. At the same time, they're paging out the fire department, the bike rescue will get paged out.
It'll be kind of seamless, the same as the other first responders, and who's ever close by will just contact, says I'm there.
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I might add that the Central Minnesota EMS would be part of the support group with training and perhaps some supplies for this group, along with the training that you would get locally. So this is just to recognize them. You know, Crow Wing is part of the joint powers with the Central Minnesota EMS, and we would be then recognizing with the state organization, the EMSRB, that this organization exists and that it's just another component of the EMS system that we would be supporting in Crow Wing County.
Will you make that motion then?
I will make the motion to, where'd I go here? To recognize the Cuyuna Lakes Bike Rescue as a medical response unit designated to first responds to medical emergencies on and around the Cuyuna Lakes Mountain Bike Trail System.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Hoag. Any other comments? If not, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hull?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye, motion carried. Thank you very much for your
Thank you.
presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Darrell.
Another sheriff's office news, really, we don't have any news, so maybe that's a good thing. But if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Veteran Service Officer, Eric Flowers.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, it's a pleasure to be here today. Today I'm going to be summarizing 2023 and how the year went. We had a lot of exciting events and a lot of exciting things happen with how busy we were with different law changes, and the PACT Act was a huge drive for not just our office but the whole VA and benefits for our veterans. And just to give you a perspective, the PACT Act is one of the largest laws passed since the GI Bill back in the 50s, I believe it was. And so I just saw some numbers the other day where over 1 million claims have already been adjudicated throughout the country for the PACT Act laws, and over $4 billion have been distributed to veterans for those benefits. So that was a major focus in 2023 for our office, when we received a lot of increased contacts, which was great. It did lead to kind of adjusting how we kind of practiced our office and making things a little bit more efficient, and really changing systems up and how we address these issues, and just continuing to see what we can do better to be able to impact our veterans in that. So outreach in 2023 we continue to push outreach as much as we can. We partnered with R&J Broadcasting, secured a slot on 5 radio stations the last Thursday of every month from 8:30 to 9 for veteran updates. Partnered with Tim Hool on WJJY 1 month on the community focus, and I hope to do that more in the future, because that was a lot of fun. We push out social media posts on Facebook, and just getting it out there to our younger veterans and older veterans. Almost doubled our outreaches last year in 2023 from the year prior. We as an office did 56 home visits to veterans in rural areas, or they were unable to make it because of transportation barriers or health issues. And so this helps me, this just helps me, or us, get an eye. I really like getting into the homes and visiting our veterans, see what conditions they are. Are there other services that need to be provided throughout the community for them? And it lets me get into their space, build that relationship with them and that trust, and that has been really successful. We've teamed up with community services and even expanding VA healthcare and home healthcare as well. So we've identified areas where they can get additional help with home healthcare, and then we contact the VA here in Brainerd with the social workers and help get them connected for that home healthcare. So we've done more visits to veteran organization posts, such as the American Legions, VFWs, DAVs, providing updates during member meetings on VA benefits. In March, I co-hosted with Morrison County Veteran Services a military retirement conference down at Camp Ripley. There was about 150 retirees and spouses that attended that, and that really was able to reach out to a lot of National Guard members who are retired, but also other branches as well, and just provide general information and networking and contacting, like reach out to our office and we can get more detailed in with what your benefits are, and that was really successful. I'm doing that again in April of this month with them. Outreach to local nursing homes, assisted living facilities. We've contacted several veterans in need. So just getting out there to those those places and the managers and the supervisors of those places to really reach out to us if they see or identify a veteran that can get additional benefits or if there are any. And we reach out to them. So that's been really good conversation engagement with our veterans in those places. Just a side note on one recent one, a couple months ago. A couple years ago, I took this veteran out to a football game here in Brainerd to watch his grandson in his senior year, and it was the only way that he could get there was a ride. So I was able to bring him out there and spend that time with him, and it was cold and that, but that was the one contact that I had with him, other than by phone. And this last year, I went and visited him at the facility just to review his benefits, and actually, I was reached out by the VA social worker here at the clinic and asking about that, which made me go there. And before I went, she goes, there's only two people that he ever mentioned, and that was his grandson and you. So it just makes me a little emotional with those contacts, and that's telling me that we're doing the right thing in our office, building those relationships and just building the trust with our veterans. And so lets us know that we're doing well in that area.
Mr. Chair, Eric?
Yes.
Can I tell another story?
Sure.
That just recently happened.
Yes, you may.
It's about the relationship, because it's so important. We had a veteran that came into the county jail and was just having a tough day, a really, really bad day. And I don't think they necessarily trusted any of the other folks that were around them. And I don't know why, but the jail had the presence of mind to call Eric. And he went over and just talked to the guy and calmed him down. And everything went okay after that. And so that relationship, and it is about someone thinking that you care about them, isn't it?
Absolutely.
That's what makes for these relationships to make a difference. And so for the folks that were trying hard to deal with this person, can you imagine how much of a relief it is when Eric can come over and talk to him and calm him down? It turned a bad day into a pretty good one. Thank you for that.
I would say, as far as outreach goes, I can be on the radio, I can be in the newspapers, I can be going out to these different places in a group setting. But where we get most of our additional contacts from veterans is word of mouth from other veterans that we work with in our office, and the professionalism that we provide, and the caring and listening and taking that time to be able to hear them and help them out. And this is one area in county government or whatever that we don't want to just push out numbers, because we want them to feel that value and we want them to feel that care, and that is what brings the success to our office, but mostly to our veterans. It's a community that oftentimes doesn't have a lot of trust all the time, or they don't want to talk about the experiences that they've gone through. And so being able to just have a conversation, listen, that is the foundation of when we meet a veteran, is to build that relationship and that trust. And we do really great things for our veterans once they feel that trust and understand the process as we explain VA benefits to them. So
Mr. Chair, I'm going to add in just a little experience that I had the other night. I was out to dinner and got up from dinner. My wife says to me, I should know that lady. I should know that lady. And her and another lady went and sat down in a booth right behind us. And as I would do normally, trying to embarrass my wife at every juncture that I can, I get up and I go around and I said, I need to interrupt your meal and introduce myself. And of course, my wife is rushing over there trying to keep me from interrupting their meal. But in the course, this one individual used to work at the CBHH where my wife works and was an excellent worker, now works for the VA locally, and said, is there any possibility that we could move the VSO office and Eric Flowers into our office over here where he could do even better work? And I said, well, I don't know that the board would support that, but that certainly is a compliment to the relationships that you've built. They enjoy and endorse what you do over there, Eric. So thank you very much.
Perhaps I can negotiate a outreach spot there with them and spend some time a couple months or a couple times a month to do that. So financial assistance portion of it. So now we're going to get into some numbers, I guess. SSAP grants through the Minnesota Department of Veteran Affairs. You know, we processed and brought in about $67,000 for Crow Wing County veterans through SSAP grants between 24 local veterans. Approximately 50% of those were dental and optical vouchers for assisting with dental care and optical for those who qualify. 40% of those were through special needs grants, assisting with housing and utilities, and 10% of that was through subsistence. So subsistence is, you know, if they had a surgery and they're the primary earner of their, for their income, and they were out of work for a while, the state of Minnesota, in applying through this grant, can help them, support them while they're going through that healing process. I think, you know, we've noticed with our grants, not just our office was down in numbers on that, but statewide. I think there's a lot of other organizations out there that have been assisting and helping out, and other forms of grants out there, which we've assisted with as well. And so the trends have been down for those grants, and I think also the winter weather has been a big factor as well, with not needing as much, you know, furnaces, because a lot of that income, or a lot of that help, was from furnaces that were needing to be replaced and everything too. So MACV is a Minnesota Association Council for Veterans. They assist with housing and housing needs for homelessness or preventing from being homeless. We had 13 veterans go through MACV and received approximately $40,000 with direct housing assistance, utility payments, and this was the funding that assisted paying for past due rent or mortgage or deposit fees and first month's rent to help them get into housing to keep them from being homeless. Next slide. Local veteran organizations, we've utilized a lot in building those relationships the last year and helping with financial assistance for our veterans. So we're lucky to have great support with our American Legions, VFWs, even Minnesota Homeless Wounded Warriors that are there to provide immediate assistance. Veterans go through our office and we make those recommendations if needed. So like gas cards, food cards, immediate assistance for paid to vendors. So that's the nice thing, is that we get the bills, we vet everything out, and then we make our recommendation, and then they approve, you know, helping get a vehicle back running, or assisting with a power shutoff notice, and things like that. So over $32,000 for car repairs, utility shutoff notices, home repairs, cleanup, directly preventing evictions even. These are things that needed to be done right away and didn't have the process to go through the grant process that we use. And so we've been overwhelmingly helped out by our local veteran organizations with that. It's a good story, and I'll try to summarize it but I might read from it a little bit more. But our office organized and coordinated. Natalie in our office is kind of took the lead on this, helping get a vehicle to donate to a veteran. So we had received quite a few calls from other places. Veteran lived in a really rural area, about 30 miles away from Brainerd. Didn't have transportation, doesn't have a phone, lives off Social Security, pretty minimal Social Security, and wrote letters, and that's how we communicated to him for a while. And I was like, if we can get him some transportation, because he has a valid driver's license, he has everything going on, that's going to help solve a lot of issues and getting him the resources that he needs so he can go to his VA appointments, get groceries and all that. So working with different organizations, Minnesota Homeless and Wounded Warriors, we were able to find a vehicle, have it paid for, made sure that it was cleared by the state, that it was drivable, and was able to donate that. And we haven't heard any negative contact from this veteran as far as needing any more assistance. So not only did it help that veteran out, provide that transportation, but it also helped out the other agencies that were using their resources to be able to get him to where he needed to and that. So that was a really good plus for our office as well. Some claim stats, some of the bread and butter things of our office and what we provide. Compensation claims, we filed 375 claims in 2023, which is up a little bit from 2022. Supplemental claims are claims that are being reopened or appealing a denial within 1 year. 104 claims and 95 claims were in 2022. DIC claims, or dependent indemnity compensation claims, for surviving spouses whose veteran passed away from a service-connected disability. We had 23 claims for that in 2023, 27 in 2022. 16 applications, I believe, for 100% property tax exemption, and that includes veterans and surviving spouses. 18 applications for 70% property tax exemptions. And VA healthcare, we had 149 new signups for VA healthcare in our office, which is up pretty considerable from 88 in 2022. We're still waiting for the GDX, what the VA puts out for how many veterans expenditures get paid to veterans in our county. I think that comes out in May, so I'm going to be keeping an eye on that. Last year, or in 2022, the numbers were close to $90 million of VA expenditures or benefits going to our veterans, and that's a mixture of compensation, pension, and also health care. So I'm excited to see what this year brings for that, or 2023 brings for that. We had about 2,212 office visits, which is roughly about 8.5 visits each day. Our phone calls, we were getting about 21.5 calls each day. Again, I kind of summarized in our outreach, 56 visits, and 18 were large group of 12 or more. And then new veterans added. I always like to see this number. We had 318 new veterans come into our office that hadn't been in our office before. And so that tells me we continue to keep growing. And that's a lot of those were PACT Act. I don't want to get too deep into our details in this board meeting, but one ways that we do that is we've been really, and maybe I'll touch up on it here, but we review the claims that come through. We can see any claim that comes through for our counties, or for Crow Wing County, and we identify a lot that either filed by themselves or they didn't go through our office, but they live in our area, so we'll reach out to them and follow up with them on their claim once it's adjudicated, get them added to our system, and let them know about the resources that we can help provide them. So a little bit of extra than what I think other VSO offices do for their veterans. Other highlights, we had a departure in June, and Travis Svoboda was hired in July. I think, that was a transitional period as a veteran service officer. It's a good 2 years to really start to feel a little bit comfortable in the job, and there was a lot of training that he had to go through. While that transition was happening, we had case files assigned to myself and Natalie, just to manage Brianna's claims after she left, to make sure that we weren't falling behind or missing out on our case files. Travis has been a great addition to our team, really showing an eagerness and to learn, and shows a passion for helping others. And, he's catching on very well, and probably farther along than what I would have expected him to be, which is great. So we developed, systems in our office to streamline and make managing office activities and responsibilities more efficient. I think a lot of more appointments are being made. We obviously will always welcome veterans to come into our office, but a lot of times we're reviewing what their needs are, and we will make appointments for a later date, just so we can spend that time with them and making sure that we're getting the benefits that they should get. If it's easy little things, we'll take care of it on that day. But that has really helped us be able to focus on the claims and not get distracted, to make sure that we're not falling behind on other ones. And we do phone interviews and a lot more technology like email, going back and forth, making sure that we get that communication. Saves a lot of time than just in person. And we're receiving an overwhelming praise from veterans and organizations about our reputation in our office as being the office to call if there are veterans in need. And that includes, other veterans from outside of our community. And I'll never turn down a chance to have a short conversation with them to review their file or talk about the claims and point them in the right direction. So, yeah. And then the last thing, I think, addressing with some of the challenges that we've been having in our office and how we've adapted to it. We've been seeing a lot of issues with the quality management of the VA once claims have been filed in the development on their end. The processing and adjudication of the veterans' claims. There's been a lot of claims not having the correct decisions being made, even with the right evidence right there in front of them. Our office is taking extra hours tracking these to be able to identify those issues before they are adjudicated, so we can try to correct it to save our office time, our staff time, and the veterans' time and their frustration. By this, I've reached out to VSRs through Teams messages to try to discuss the claim a little bit, and developing relationships with them as well, to make sure that the veteran's taken care of and they don't have to do additional supplemental claims and stuff. I think that's important just because once we submit a claim, it's now at the VA's hands to make this adjudication and processing. And so when things go wrong, oftentimes, most of the time, we are the ones that hear about it. And I know it's not a direct reflection on our office, but the frustration comes through to our office because, a lot of times they consider us the VA, but we're not. And so that has been, discussions that we have with our veterans, and let them know that when we catch these, we notify and follow up with our veterans so they're aware of what's going on, that they have the trust that we are managing and watching these claims go through. And there's a lot of offices that I've talked with that once their claim is filed, they don't look at it until they hear from the veteran afterwards. And I don't know, I guess that's not the way that I think that customer service and quality customer service should be handled. Yeah, our office and staff has been dedicated to exceptional service to our veteran community and maximize the benefits that they've earned and are eligible for. Goals for 2024, continued outreach, increasing it to Gulf War veterans. Just process and being able to reach out to them using technologies and community outreach at events. Partnering with surrounding veteran service organizations and veteran organizations with outreach. Forecast future needs for our office and budget for it, short-term and long-term. Continued education networking with other agencies, veteran service officers, claims representatives, and VA representatives. Visiting 3 service organization or veteran service offices to discuss best practices and continue that networking with them to make sure that we can learn from them and they can learn from us. Just helps veterans out all together. Weekly discussions with veteran organizations discussing claims and questions we have on difficult claims or appeals. And attend MDVA Zoom trainings and send staff to our spring and fall conferences and NACVSO yearly conference virtually. That concludes my report.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any comments from the board? Well, I have one.
Yes.
A few weeks or month or so ago, I had the opportunity to go speak at the local high school up in Pequot. They were asking me what an elected official does. And so I went in there and kind of did, what we do as far as a county commissioner. I was talking to seniors, 17, 18-year-olds, and it was Friday afternoon, so I know that they were totally enthralled about me being there. It was just one question came up from a young gentleman in the back of the room, and he says, so what does the county do for their veterans? And because I know you and I know the commitment you have, it was real easy to sit there. We have this gentleman by the name of Eric Flowers, and he does a heck of a job representing the veterans in Crow Wing County. So I felt so proud to be able to say that, and so thank you for being there, and thank you for the job you do for us in Crow Wing County.
Thank you,
And
Mr.
for the
Chair.
veterans.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have the county attorney.
Good morning, everyone. I don't have anything for you this morning, but I'm certainly happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Nice seeing you here today.
It's good to be here.
County administrator.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, we did not hold a senior management team meeting yesterday for lack of agenda items. It really is cyclical. During the budgeting time, we're pretty religious about meeting, and so it just depends on the time of year. I do have some citizen committee appointments that are the remaining vacancies. We do have Craig Nathan, who is ready to be appointed to the HRA. That would require a motion of the board. I don't know if Brianna Schwartz is ready yet.
Yes.
That could be a board chair appointment, and so Ms. Schwartz is ready to be appointed.
So and that's done as looking for a motion?
No, if you say she's appointed, she's appointed.
I will appoint her.
Okay. And then we need a motion to appoint Craig Nathan to the HRA.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Motion made and seconded. Roll call.
Commissioner Barrows.
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag.
Aye.
Commissioner Coring.
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine.
Aye.
Commissioner Lepke.
Aye. Motion carried.
We have a couple of vacancies left on the Extension Committee. We have a vacancy on the TAC and an at-large vacancy for the Natural Resources Advisory Committee. This is probably the last time we're going to put this in front of you. When you have those appointments ready for appointment, let us know, and we'll ask the chair to appoint it. Okay?
Thank you. Yep.
Mr. Chair, I also have, if I may, I also have the addition to the agenda, and where's Debbie or Tim? They're going to know a lot more about it, but let me give it a shot. We had built a joint maintenance facility with the city of Cross Lake. It was about 20 years ago, and we just finished paying off the bonds not that long ago. So the facility has been new for quite some time, and so there has not been a lot of maintenance needs for the facility, and we have treated it as sort of a run-to-fail environment. We'll run the parts until they fail, and then we call a service person. There are some preventive maintenance work that can be done that will extend the useful life of our equipment, and we do that
sort of robust maintenance program here. The city of Cross Lake does not. And so in discussions with them, we were able to take the payments that people were paying on the bond and shift that into some of the ongoing maintenance of the facility. That's the shared services agreement. Crow Wing County is agreeing to maintain that facility and charge the city of Cross Lake for 43% of the cost of doing so. I'm not sure if I have 43 right. I think it's 47%. They pay 47% of that cost, we pay 53% of that cost. We end up with a facility that is much better managed, and I think we will extend the useful life of the equipment in there. That's the shared services agreement. Along with that then is the renewal of the lease. And so we are agreeing to another, is it a 20-year lease or is it ongoing? A 5-year lease, but it does have renewal clauses built into it. And so that would go along with, this is really tying up the loose ends of our lease is expiring. And so we need to do something. Our options are, we could leave the facility, force it to be sold. That seems a little radical. City of Cross Lake could do the same thing. They thought that was a little radical. So then it's, how are we going to work together? Here we are. We have a lease agreement that would renew the terms of the lease, that we share the costs, 53% to Crow Wing County, 47% to the City of Cross Lake, and a shared services agreement that would provide for the long-term maintenance of the facility, with costs being shared with the City of Cross Lake as well. I believe we bring this forward with a recommendation to approve it. It has already been approved by the City of Cross Lake, both of them. Happy to answer any questions about both of the agreements. If you are so inclined, a motion would be in order. I think you can approve both the lease agreement and the shared services agreement with one motion if you are so inclined.
Administrator Houle, is there any change to, as far as any effect on our levy in regards to this contract at all? Do you know?
No, it should actually help our levy a bit because we will have excess capacity in the staff resource. And so this contract will pay for a staff resource. We won't need to dedicate 100% of that staff resource to this purpose, which helps us then offset some of our levy costs in the other areas of county government. So we only go into these partnerships if there is a win-win for both parties.
Right.
If it's just good for one party, it doesn't fly. And so what's in it for us? Mm-hmm. Is always the question when we get into these shared services agreements. That, in addition to having better maintenance of our shared facility, is what's in it for us.
Okay, I just wanted to ask that question. Anybody else on the board have a question?
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve both of these agreements.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Corning?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye, motion carried.
Mr. Chair, that's all I have. I'm happy to answer questions about anything related to county government.
Hearing none, I think we need to go now to our, unless there was any additional business.
I have no
I
additional
have none.
business.
Anybody on the board have any additional business they'd like to bring up? If not, then I think we go into our closed meeting for labor negotiations.
Mr. Chair, I would make the motion to go into closed session regarding labor negotiation strategy pursuant to MS 13D.03, comma, subdivision 1, parens B, and for the performance review of Veterans Service Officer Eric Flowers and performance review for County Administrator Timothy Houle, both under MS 13D.05, subdivision 3, parens A.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is that a roll call again?
Yes.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Corning?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye. We are in closed.
Mr. Chair, can we have a brief recess just so we can make sure the technology gets set up correctly?
Yep, please do.
Very good, thank you. Did you get, yep, you got that.
Key this up for us, would you? And when you get ready.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, we're back in open session. We have a labor negotiation contract with our licensed deputies for you to consider. Amy will quickly go through the provisions of the agreement and ask for a motion to approve.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. I'm here this morning for a labor agreement with Teamsters 346 representing our licensed sergeants, which is an essential unit. This group represents 8 employees within the Sheriff's Office. They are, the tentative agreement is market aligned with our pay plan with 100% application of adjusting the salary ranges in 2024 to 90% of the metro and 2.5%. And in 25, range increases by 2.5% and 26 by 3%. This group is on the Teamsters insurance plans, and there's no changes in this tentative agreement for that insurance plan coverage. Some of the key recognitions include adding Juneteenth as a paid holiday, Christmas Eve as a full paid holiday, adding life partner for bereavement leave, increasing the healthcare savings plan contribution from $25 a month to $35 a month, providing a deferred compensation match of up to $50 per month, increasing the shift differential from 70 cents an hour to $1 an hour for the hours of 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., increasing communication pay to $120 per pay period, and providing an MOU for just 2024 on overtime at 2 times the rate for when they take other sergeants, pick up other sergeant shifts. We're going to continue some language cleanup and then have agreed to a 3-year contract. As far as for the wage settlement piece of things, the tentative agreement includes 6% additional movement within the range for 2023, and in 24 and 25, each year a 2.5% additional movement within the range, and 2026 will be the standard performance-based pay adjustments. If there's no questions, I am looking for a motion to authorize entering into an agreement between Crow Wing County and Teamsters General Union Local 346 representing the licensed supervisory unit, effective January 1, 2024 through December 31st, 2026, and the chair, HR manager, and county administrator are authorized to sign said agreements.
I will make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call.
Commissioner Franzien? Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Holg?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Lupke?
Aye. Motion carried.
Mr. Chair, that is all we have today, unless you have something else for us.
I'd entertain a
Motion
motion
to
to
adjourn.
adjourn. Oops.
Motion to
Second.
adjourn.
Motion made and seconded. Is that a roll call again? I can never remember. Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzien? Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Holg? Commissioner Lupke?
Aye. We are adjourned.
Who made the motion and second to reopen?
I made it to